Let me start with a confession on behalf of everyone watching this. You walked into Costco for paper towels. You left with paper towels, a 72-pack of granola bars, a cashmere sweater, a 4K television you were not planning to buy, a rotisserie chicken you absolutely were planning to buy, and a 5-pound tub of mixed nuts that seemed like a deal at the time. You spent $340. You budgeted $28. And you felt good about it. This is called the COSTCO Effect, and it is one of the most psychologically sophisticated retail experiences ever engineered by a company that presents itself as a humble warehouse full of bulk goods and free samples. Costco does not look fancy. Costco does not feel manipulative. Costco feels like a smart shopper's best friend. And that feeling, that specific warm, trust-based feeling, is exactly the mechanism Costco uses to separate you from several $100s more per visit than you plan to spend. Here is the number that should immediately reframe how you think about your Costco membership. As of 2025, the average Costco shopper visits the store approximately 33 times per year and spends $3,213 over the course of those visits, about $100 per trip. That is not $3,213 budgeted, planned, and deliberately allocated. That is $3,213 that leaves a member's account across 33 trips, in amounts that feel reasonable per visit, adding up to a number that would genuinely surprise most people if you said it to them before they calculated it themselves. Today we are pulling back the curtain on exactly how Costco does this, not to make you cancel your membership, but to make you a significantly smarter Costco shopper. Because most of the mechanisms we are about to discuss are brilliant, and knowing they exist is the only real defense against them. Let's start with the membership fee. The first trick happens before you buy anything. The single most psychologically powerful tool Costco deploys costs you either $65 or $130 per year, depending on which tier you chose, and you paid it voluntarily with enthusiasm. Let's talk about what that membership fee actually does to your brain, because it does something specific, and Costco knows exactly what it is. The moment you pay a membership fee to shop somewhere, a psychological phenomenon called the sunk cost fallacy activates. Here is what that means in plain language. A sunk cost is money you have already spent that cannot be recovered. Rational economic theory says you should ignore sunk costs in future decisions. The money is gone regardless of what you do next, so it should not influence what you choose to do now. But human brains do not work like rational economic theory. Human brains feel the pull of sunk costs constantly, and retail companies exploit this extensively. A 2017 study found that people who shop at club stores like Costco end up visiting the store more frequently and spending more than they would if they were not a member. The membership fee is not just an access charge. It is a psychological anchor that makes you feel obligated to shop at Costco more than you otherwise would, to justify the fee, to make the membership feel worth it, to resolve the mental discomfort of having paid for something you are not using. As one marketing expert explains, if they bought a Costco membership because they believed it would save them money, now when they have a new purchase decision, they are more likely to buy from Costco. The membership fee does not just buy you access. It purchases your loyalty, your frequency, and your psychological commitment before you have spent a single dollar on actual merchandise. And Costco is very good at retaining that loyalty. The brand's membership retention rate is around 92.9% in the United States, meaning nearly 19 out of 20 members renew every year. Annual membership fees generated about $4.6 billion in fiscal year 2025. And here is the part that genuinely stunned me when I found it. Membership fees contributed just 6% of Costco's total sales in third quarter 2025, but an extraordinary 52% of its operating income. The bulk goods are not really the product. The membership is the product, you are. Next is the treasure hunt, why they keep moving your stuff. You know the feelings. You went last month and you knew exactly where the olive oil was. You go this month and the olive oil is not there. You walk the aisles. Not there either. You are now walking past things you were not planning to buy, looking for olive oil, and somewhere along the aisle you have picked up a jar of fancy honey and a new brand of protein bars you want to try. This was not an accident. Costco intentionally moves products around to different locations and constantly rotates inventory, creating a treasure hunt experience as you shop that helps you discover new products you may not normally encounter. The numbered aisles without clear labels reinforce this. Without labels, customers have to walk through to know what's on those shelves. The psychological principle at work is straightforward. More time in the store equals more spending. Every additional minute you spend navigating Costco's floor is another minute you are exposed to products you did not know you wanted, presented in bulk at prices that seem compelling. If you find something you were not expecting or make an impulse purchase, it triggers a release of happiness chemicals, and who does not like happiness? The treasure hunt is not a byproduct of Costco's warehouse model. It is the warehouse model. The chaotic, ever-shifting floor plan is specifically engineered to maximize time in store, minimize navigation efficiency, and maximize the number of unplanned products you encounter on the way to finding whatever you actually came for. Next is the free samples, which is the most expensive free food you have ever eaten. The free samples at Costco are legendary. On a weekend afternoon, you can essentially eat a full meal of small cups and tiny crackers, all at no cost, while navigating the warehouse floor. It feels generous. It feels like Costco is doing you a favor. It is doing Costco a very significant favor. A study of grocery store samples showed they drive product sales by as much as 2,000%. 2,000%. The mechanism is a psychological principle called reciprocity, the deeply human instinct that when someone does something for you, you feel an obligation to do something in return. When a friendly person hands you a warm piece of food on a toothpick and smiles at you, your brain registers a small social debt. The easiest way to resolve that debt is to pick up the product they are offering you and put it in your cart. You did not plan to buy that item. You did not know you needed it before you tasted it. But you tasted it, you liked it, someone was kind to you, and now you feel slightly awkward walking away without it. Costco dedicates significant floor space that could theoretically hold merchandise, to the sample program because the return on investment from that space is extraordinary. The sample is not a cost. It is the highest conversion marketing channel in the store. Next is something called the anchor price. Walk into any Costco and immediately notice what greets you near the entrance: electronics. Big televisions. High-end appliances. Items priced at $800, $1,200, $2,000. You did not come for a television. You are not buying a television today. But you walked past one or several before you got to anything on your actual list. And this matters because of a concept called price anchoring. Price anchoring is a well-documented psychological phenomenon. The first price you encounter in a shopping experience establishes a mental reference point that influences how every subsequent price feels. If your brain has just processed $2,000 as a number, even while registering that you are not buying the $2,000 item, then $79 for a large quantity of something, or $129 for a jacket, or $249 for a piece of fitness equipment, all feel dramatically more reasonable than they would if you had not just walked past $2,000. From the moment you step into Costco, retailers plant mental anchors. Those big-ticket electronics or jewelry displays greet you first. Most shoppers do not have a big screen television on their list, but just walking past that section unconsciously primes us with high prices, making a $29 can of peanuts seem genuinely reasonable. The anchor is working whether or not you are aware it is there, which is what makes it effective. Next is the limited time only concept. Costco carries approximately 3,600 items at any given time in its warehouses, a dramatically smaller selection than a typical grocery store, which might carry 30,000 to 50,000 different products. And of those 3,600 Costco items, as many as 1,000 of them may be limited-time offerings, seasonal products, special buys, items that will disappear when the current stock sells out and may not return. This creates a very specific and very effective shopping psychology: scarcity. When you see a product with a sticker indicating it is a seasonal or limited offering, your brain does not evaluate the item on its own merits. It evaluates the risk of not buying it now while it is available. The question shifts from "do I need this?" to "will I regret not getting this when it was here?" This is FOMO, or fear of missing out, as a retail strategy, and Costco has refined it to a science. The "while supplies last" warning ensures customers likely will not risk passing up what feels like a bargain. After all, who knows when you might find another 40-gallon fish tank or trampoline at such a low price. The cashmere sweater you did not plan to buy but picked up because these go fast. That is Costco's scarcity model at work. The wine you bought 12 bottles of because it was a special buy, and you were not sure when you would see it again. Same mechanism. The limited time item is not just merchandise. It is urgency, manufactured and applied to your decision-making process. Then there's the bulk buying trap, saving money by spending more. Here is the paradox at the heart of the Costco business model, stated plainly. Buying more of something at a lower per unit price only saves you money if you were going to use all of it anyway. This sounds obvious. It is somehow not obvious in practice, because the math in your head at Costco compares the unit cost at Costco to the unit cost somewhere else, and the Costco number is usually lower. What the mental math does not automatically calculate is, how much of this will I actually use before it expires, goes stale, or simply gets forgotten in the back of my cabinet? A 5-pound bag of spinach for $4.99 is a phenomenal unit price per ounce of spinach. If you use all 5 pounds before it wilts, which requires a family eating salads aggressively for several days, you genuinely saved money. If half of it ends up in the trash, you paid twice as much per ounce of spinach you actually consumed as you would have at a regular grocery store. Research on bulk buying behavior consistently finds that households systematically overestimate how much of a perishable item they will consume, and that food waste increases measurably among households that shop primarily at bulk retailers compared to those who shop at conventional grocery stores. The savings are real on paper. They are partially or fully negated by the product you paid for and discarded. This dynamic is even more pronounced with non-perishables you overpurchase. The 48-roll paper towel pack you bought because the unit price was excellent is absolutely a better deal, unless you have space to store 46 rolls of paper towels in your home for 8 months. The storage cost, while not financial, is real, and the full cabinet that was cleared for paper towels was being used for something else before the Costco trip. Costco always has a very generous return policy, which is why it makes you spend more. Costco's return policy is famously, almost absurdly generous. Most items can be returned at any time, for any reason, with no receipt required. This is often cited as one of Costco's most customer-friendly features, and it genuinely is. But it also functions as a powerful purchase accelerant in a way that counterintuitively works against the shopper. Psychologists and marketing experts have found that the more lenient a store's return policy, the less likely the customer is to return the item, because without a strict deadline, there is no urgency to get it back to the store. The generous policy removes the psychological friction that would otherwise make you hesitate before an impulse purchase, the nagging voice that says, "But what if I regret this and cannot return it?" With Costco's policy, that voice goes quiet. The safety net of easy returns makes impulsive buying feel safe, even though most of those returns never happen. A full 91% of consumers say a store's return policy factors into a buying decision, and a generous return policy is exactly the type of tactic that can sway a customer toward an impulse purchase on a limited-time sale. You buy the item more readily. You keep it even when you should not, because the deadline to return it never arrives. Costco wins both ways. So let's talk about how to shop at Costco without getting played. None of this means you should cancel your membership. Costco does offer genuine value on specific well-chosen categories: bulk pantry staples, gasoline, certain electronics, and the $1.50 hot dog that has not changed in price since 1985, because apparently some things are sacred. But here is how to extract that value without surrendering to the full psychological playbook. Make the list before you go and treat it as a contract. Not a suggestion. A contract. If it is not on the list, it requires an explicit, deliberate decision to add it, not just a moment of, "Oh, this seems useful." Calculate the actual unit cost against what you will genuinely use. Not the theoretical unit cost if you use all of it. The real unit cost, adjusted for your actual consumption rate and honest waste estimate. This math changes a lot of bulk purchases from great deal to expensive in practice. Give the sample stations the respect they deserve. Enjoy the sample. Then walk away before making a purchase decision. The reciprocity impulse is real, but it fades within 30 seconds of leaving the station. Let it fade. Ignore the anchor prices. Walk past the electronics section without engaging. The $1,800 television does not need your attention. If you notice you are thinking about how reasonable something else feels after seeing the TVs, that is the anchor working. Consciously reset it. On limited time items, wait 24 hours. If you still want it tomorrow, go back. If it is gone, you have your answer about whether you genuinely needed it. Costco is not a bad company. It pays its employees well above industry average, sells genuinely good products at genuinely competitive prices, and has earned the extraordinary loyalty of over 145 million members worldwide, 73.4 million households and small businesses, through a combination of real value and exceptional psychological engineering. The psychological engineering is the part this conversation was about. Not because it is malicious. It is simply retail done at a very high level, but because knowing how it works changes how you respond to it. The sunk cost trap, the treasure hunt, the free samples, the anchor prices, the scarcity signals, the bulk buying paradox, the generous return policy that makes you buy more and return less. These are not accidents. They are systems. And systems, once understood, can be navigated rather than surrendered to. The average Costco member spends $3,213 per year across 33 visits. The question worth sitting with after this conversation is simple. How much of that $3,213 was on your list before you walked in? The answer to that question is approximately the size of Costco's psychological advantage over you. Go armed with a list. Leave with what is on it. And absolutely get the rotisserie chicken. That one is always worth it. Hope you enjoy this video. Hit like and subscribe. See you in the next one.